lighting and everything was great.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. And thank you for joining us here on the eve of Juneteenth. I'm Chanel Compton, Executive Director of the Banneker Douglas Museum, your state museum on African American history and culture in the state of Maryland. And I'm also the Director of the Maryland Commission on African American history and culture. I'd like to welcome the members of our commission, as well as the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the Banneker Douglas Museum Foundation, and the Governor's coordinating offices, and all of the media outlets who have joined us for this occasion. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory stolen from the Piscataway people. As we work towards truth and reconciliation to create spaces for healing and connection, let us first acknowledge the racial terror of colonialism and the attempted erasure of Indigenous people. As we live, work, worship, and tour in historic Annapolis, let us also commit to learning and honoring the sacrifices, resistance, history, and culture of the first state-recognized tribes in Maryland, the Piscataway Conoy tribe and the Piscataway Indian Nation. Here we stand in the lobby of the Banneker Douglas Museum, an institution created in 1984 to document, to preserve, to present Black history in the great state of Maryland. It is the mission in mind that we gather here today to formally announce the joining of these two commissions and the work we will do to help end systemic racism and police brutality. I would like to thank Reverend Dr. Tamara England Wilson, our commission chair, and Dr. David Fakunle, the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission chair. I have enjoyed working with you both on this initiative, and I continue to be both humbled and inspired by your collective work towards serving communities of color. I would also like to take a moment to thank our supporters. Thank you for the time, dedication, commitment, and contributions you've made to supporting this effort. None of this would be possible without your time and generosity. Without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. David Fakunle to the podium. Dr. Fakunle is a self-described mercenary for change, willing to employ talent and occupy any space in the effort to elevate people of African descent and anyone who feels divested from their truest self. He earned a PhD from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and prior to doctoral study, earned a BA in psychology and criminology and criminal justice from the University of Maryland, College Park. Now, as chair of the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Maryland Commission on African American History and Cultures, Anti-Racism Coalition, Dr. Fakunle is continuing his life's legacy of fostering an equitable future for Black Americans. Please welcome Dr. David Fakunle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here. This is a day of celebration. So I hope you all are in a celebratory mood as we approach the first commemoration of Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Ebo. But the work still continues. We are not completely free. The noose is still around our neck. I repeat, there's work to be done. What we saw last year, and I've seen many years before that, but especially last year, the lynching of Ahmaud Arbery, the murder of Breonna Taylor, the lynching of George Floyd. It sparked something in many people in a way that it hadn't done before, because there were names before this. Freddie Gray, Tony Robinson, Akai Gurley, Eric Garner, Corinne Gaines. Too many to name. But yet there was something about last year, the stillness of a global pandemic, that forced us, all of us, to see the atrocities for which this country has been guilty since its inception. How did we react? How did we respond? Well, something inside of us saw the inhumanity of what occurred. It didn't matter the skin tone. We saw lives snatched away for no other reason than the amount of melanin in their skin. So we rose up. We expressed anger. We expressed sorrow. We expressed rage. And we were called to action. And so the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture and the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission, of which I am honored to lead, decided we will do something. Yes, we are powerful entities in our own right, but we will be much stronger together. The commission is charged with chronicling the history of racial terror lynchings in the state of Maryland, which at the time was 1854 to 1933. We know it's a much larger timeline than that. And part of our charge is to explore just how large that timeline is. But what my fellow commissioners and I knew immediately, that it wasn't just about chronicling the history, the past, but to make the connection to now. So what people saw on May 25th, 2020, over 9 minutes of time, was a lynching. So we all have a moment, an image, a memory that shows us just how inhumane this country has been to people of color, especially Black people. So what do? We memorialize, we chronicle, we heal, but we also look to bring justice. And what you will hear later on is what that justice looks like for us. My background is in public health, so I think about what factors affect the trajectory of health and well-being in society. And as you can imagine, as a Black man, I'm very interested in the health and trajectory of Black people. And there are many contexts, many stories that we have to be mindful of when we think about what affects that trajectory. We can't ignore what Black people have been subjected to throughout the 400 years of this country's existence. For over 200 of those years, we were considered property, not even human. A war was fought over the idea that we should remain property. An entire economy was built and run on the backs of enslaved Africans. When the war ended and slavery was ended, there was a little bit of time where we were separate but equal. But that was a little too much for some people. So they burned it down and made sure we couldn't rebuild back. And yet we did. Then there was a moment in time where they wanted us to be separate, but not equal. And while so many of those explicit manifestations have gone away, the implicit ones remain and are just as devastating, if not more, than what happened during my mother's time. And it's interesting to say that. Yes, my mother experienced that and has seen the change over time. So yes, change has been slow, but it has happened. Evolution happens right before our eyes. This is another example of evolution. So celebrate, truly celebrate. Remember, reflect, know, internalize. Don't just focus on the horrors Don't just focus on the trauma. Acknowledge it, though. But recognize the strength, the resilience, the power that we have exuded all this time. And all we want is an opportunity to do it on an equal playing field. My work, my life has given me the opportunity to really boil this thing down to 5 determinants. I call them existential determinants. And I feel that every single one of us in this room and those who are listening to us, wherever you may be, align with these things. Acknowledgement, appreciation, respect, understanding, and the most important one, love. When it comes down to it, that's all we want. And why should any of us be in each other's way from achieving those things? Thank you. And at this time, I would like to call up the esteemed chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, Reverend Samuel Wilson.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Funkuleg, for that introduction and for those words. I have served as the chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture since 2019. And I am so very proud of the Commission's 50 years of advancements and accomplishments. I am proud of our commitment to preserving Maryland's African American heritage through the African American Heritage Preservation Program. In the 10 years since its inception, the Commission has awarded over 125 grants totaling $11 million to preserve African American buildings, communities, and projects throughout the state. I am proud of our commitment to collecting Maryland's African American heritage. The Commission's oversight of this beautiful museum, the Banneker Douglas Museum, the state's official museum on African American history and culture, and a national preservation site, affords us the incredible privilege of sharing our collections, exhibitions, and educational programs with the public, enabling us to foster greater understanding and appreciation of the African experience in Maryland. I am proud of our commitment to promoting Maryland's African American heritage. The Commission, as the nation's first ethnic commission, is a national model, having inspired legislation for over 10 state African American commissions and 75 commissions of other ethnic groups. As such, the Commission provides technical assistance to institutions and groups nationwide. It is also important to note that the Commission is the only African American state commission to operate a museum. But the work of the Commission has not merely been about exhibits and programming. Our work has strongly utilized history as a tool to achieve racial equity, community empowerment, and social change, such as our anti-racism initiative. That is why this collaboration with the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission is so critical. It is a greater extension of our work of preserving lives, the lives of African Americans. The Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission is the nation's first the silent voices of African American descendants and communities that are still impacted by the unjust and inhumane lynchings of African Americans by white mobs in Maryland. The coming together of these two historic commissions at this very historic historic time in our nation, where there has been a racial awakening and a new resurgence of social justice in the wake of the very public lynching of George Floyd, extends the capacity of both commissions. This partnership amplifies our collective voices in helping to achieve true racial equity and justice in Maryland. That in and of itself is historic. These two groundbreaking initiative, innovative, and solution-oriented commissions have come together to lead the charge with a call to action, to systematically tackle the problems of social injustice and systemic racism strategically, beginning with the following recommendations. Address the problem of systemic racism that has consistently manifested in the abhorrent actions of law enforcement officials by ending police brutality and criminalizing police brutality. Assure the satisfaction of the Department of Justice consent decree against the Baltimore City Police Department, regardless of federal enforcement. Promote anti-racism and economic anti-oppressive best practices for all people on all of society. Equity lens for all future public policies in Maryland jurisdictions at local, county, and state levels through the and repealing of legislation. Create support to a new era of civil rights, including protests, ongoing civil rights protests, and calls to action. Increase funding for African American museums and cultural institutions as they chronicle ongoing civil rights protests and the materials produced as a result. Support the revision of Maryland's public school curriculum to include a more accurate representation of Maryland's history and previous movements in the struggle for racial equality and equity, the current civil rights movement, and the work of these very important commissions, the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Maryland Commission on African American History. Finally, monuments and that promote an incomplete history and a history of hate, while erecting monuments and among other problems that have plagued Black communities for centuries. Dismantling racism is the only way to achieve racial equity. The Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture are both committed to that end, and to that I am proud. But we cannot do this alone. An effort of this magnitude requires everyone to do once our missions do the work of dismantling racism in Maryland, because it is in our hands. At this time, I will entertain questions from those who are here today. Any questions?
Who would have questions after that? I mean, on the point. You can find the joint statement and the call to action on of history and culture, and I believe on the website of the Maryland Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I do want to acknowledge elected officials that we have with us today. Co-mayor of the town of Cheverly, Mayor Casey Mununye, and and of course, Carl Snowden, convener of the Caucus of African American Leaders in all things Black history and culture in the great state of Anne Arundel County. We will be taking a couple of minutes for a break. We will have a short Juneteenth presentation led by our amazing commissioner, Commissioner Cheryl McLeod, as well as the chair of the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission. He's also a musician, artist, and just an incredible person in general, Dr. David Fankule. If you would like, hello. The power of storytelling is just so profound, and he does an amazing job. And if you want to learn more about African American stories throughout the great state of Maryland, you're more than welcome to visit our exhibition upstairs, Deep Roots Rising Waters, a celebration of African Americans in Maryland. And if you didn't miss it, or if you did miss it, you can visit our exhibition, the Black Vote Mural Project, which is in the historic of our incredible museum. So thank you so much. You can join us in about 2-3 minutes in the temporary gallery, where we'll be having a youth poet, Martinez, as well as a litigation and Juneteenth presentation as well. So see you soon.
our precious space today.
Sacred space.
Precious and sacred.
Yes.
Protected and sacred.
Yes. By the ancestors.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Absolutely so. So we are going to celebrate today. We are going to celebrate our strength, our lifeblood, our legacy, our future, us. We are here, and we ain't going no place else anytime soon until we're called above. So in this sacred room, we will honor you and our ancestors and our elders as we rejoice in Jubilee to celebrate Juneteenth. And we're going to celebrate because, as you just heard, we still have a long journey and many struggles yet to go. And in doing so, there are times which we need to just stop and say grace, be graceful, hug each other, pat each other on the back, and rejuvenate. So that is what we're going to do. There are a few seats here, and I first need to ask our elders, do I have permission to carry on?
Yes.
Let us pray. Father God, thank you for the awesome privilege this day an acknowledgement of that every enslaved person in this country was made aware that the dastardly sin against them had come to an end. Thank you for that, dear God. We today, who continue to fight against the injustices and oppression brought on not only by slavery, but the sin that has become entangled in the very fiber of this nation, dare not ask you to lighten our load. We only ask that you go before us and embody in us the strength, the tenacity, the wit, and intelligence of our ancestors and those who have fought this fight before us. We honor your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. As said, there are seats over here if anyone wishes to use them. Okay, this is going to be some call and response as well. So everybody doesn't have to stay back there. Come up a little bit. Just come up so that we are closer together as a family. Because this is community today. So let me first start with sharing with you a few symbols of why we have our libations and what it means. Here we have our unity bowl, of which we will pour libations. Water is life, and for that we always honor with water. We can live without many things. We cannot live without water. Of all of our people. It guides us. It soothes us. When we need to be warriors, it protects us. It guides us. The drumbeat, our heart. We have our Sankofa bird. Our Sankofa bird, feet moving forward, neck reaching back to nurture in the future. We must remember to always honor our past so that in moving forward in the future, we can continue those things that work for us and not repeat those that do not. Our Sankofa bird. We have our unity bowl and our unity cup. Oneness. And another This is a call and response. So when I say Ashe, which means let it be, it will be, let it be done, then you repeat after me. So there are going to be times when we will pour libation, and I'll need some help. We will pour libation. I will say Ashe, you repeat Ashe. We first raise our hands to our Creator, who is omnipotent, who covers and protects all creatures, big and small. The cool water, again, is life. So as we pour cool water, say Ashe. Ashe. We also praise the motherland. Ashe. Our ancestors and their indelible spirit, calling home everyone. Ashe. We honor our children and family because youth is the promise of tomorrow. Ashe. We honor family and extended family. Ashe. And we also make sure that we are always looking towards the north, whichever way that is, the south, the east, and the west to help to guide us through our path. Ashe. Now, we are going to honor our ancestors by saying their names, speaking their names in this place. We can think about them, but when we speak their names, they are real to us. We will also honor our elders, because as we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, our elders, they got our back. They're the ones who we seek for wisdom. And so we will actually shout out names and we'll just continue to pour. But I want us to definitely honor and think about all of those whose toils brought us safely where we stand in this place today. The indigenous. Ashe. The indentured. Ashe. The enslaved. Ashe. Speak a name. Thomas and Evelyn Curtis. Calvin Barry Thomas. Ashe. 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 We will also speak for the infirm, the inflamed, the insolvent, and the invisible. Ashe. Speak a name. The infirm, or the insolvent, or someone who believes they are invisible. We speak their name. The incarcerated. The next. The indicted, the incarcerated, the interned. Ashe.
The children in juvenile detention centers throughout state and states feel that they forgot about. They haven't forgotten about.
Yes.
And just because you make a mistake once, that does not mean that it changes. It does not mean that's the rest of your life. And the Lord-
Ashe.
And they are
Those disabilities who feel equal opportunity, feel like they don't have their common humanity recognized.
Ashe.
Those who have been legally lynched in the legal system.
Ashe.
Ashe.
The addicted.
For the men and women who have overcome and breaking through prosperity from the inner cities and become prominent people in society. And may they not forget where they came from.
Right.
And may they care for their neighbor and good citizens.
Ashe. And so as we follow in, we also will honor, to follow up, the independent, the industrious, the intelligent, the ingenious, the incited, the inspirational, the intuitive, and the instructive.
Ashe.
They are all incredible. And we are indestructible. Invincible. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we have one more small part here because we want to make sure that we celebrate Juneteenth. So for those of you who know the spiritual, freedom, oh freedom,
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Yes, I'll be free.
So just if you can hum it, just hum it a little bit. 1865, everybody just start to walk, just start to walk, just start. Picture thousands of enslaved people working in the master's house, working the fields, and such. Ranger comes and says to those in Texas, y'all late, but I'm here. And because we are here, there were, I believe, 250 African American troops who went into Galveston, Texas. So just think about it. 1619, when the first indentured servant who became a slave, Angela, landed in what we call Jamestown, 1619. Here it is, 1865. And finally, they are told they are no longer enslaved and they are free. Now, those who were on plantations and part of the Confederacy, they were supposed to free them years before 1865. And Texas, not only did they ignore that, but Southerners sent their slaves to Texas because they knew they were going to follow the proclamation. And so more and more slaves came in. So 2 more years, they were butchered and sometimes whipped, enslaved, abused. But then came freedom. Freedom is more than a condition that exists. Freedom is the very sense of being. It is within us and moves outside of us. I free my mind of negative thoughts to allow my soul to reach heights of discovery. I free my mind of limitations. I am free to sow and magnify my potential to maximize. that will help me do it right the next time. I am free. I am free. Thank you. My heart, my body, my mind, my soul, my spirit. I am free.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Yes, I'll be free.
So as we leave this solemn place, this sacred place today, I want to share with you a message that came. Yesterday I was listening to a call, and a descendant of an ancestor who was in Galveston, Texas, in receiving the news, passed on this message that carries from generation now to generation. And this is what he said. Now, only God is my master. So let's just sit there for a minute. And it can be your creator, Allah. But this is what he said. Now, only God is my master. So when people start to say to us, oh, Juneteenth is just the black people's 4th of July. I don't think so. I don't think so. But tomorrow, we are going to show them what it's like to be in control of our destiny. Because again, no human being is a master of another. We may need to follow some rules. We may need to get some advice from time to time. We need to respect our elders. But no one is the master of another human being. Only our Creator is the master. So I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do tomorrow. There will be no, I disagree. That ain't happening tomorrow. There will be no, however, whatever, not tomorrow. There will be no, yeah, but not tomorrow. There will be no, what's the point?
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. There will be no analyzing, no speculating, no signifying. Not tomorrow. Because we are going to celebrate.
Yeah.
We are going to rejoice. We are going to reclaim. We are going to, so many reads that kind of cover the play. Reflect on our own. We are going to reboot. Because we know the struggle, as we just heard, is still a long struggle. But you know what? We persevere. We persevere. And so, for everyone, happy Juneteenth. And be safe.
Give another round of applause. Oh my goodness, I get to work with this woman. It is such a joy and an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our last presentation will be from a youth poet, an artist, a leader. I just met you, but I know your dad. And I know your dad is amazing, so I'm sure you're incredible as well. And so when he said that you had this spoken word piece, we were elated. So coming to the stage is Miss Sinai E. Martinez. Oh, and then afterwards, we're going to take a group picture, so y'all stick around. Stand right here, wherever you feel comfortable.
I wrote this piece 3 weeks after George Floyd, and it's called I Can't Breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I haven't been able to breathe since I was born. when society decided the melanin in my skin was not something to be uplifted, but a tragedy to be mourned, I'm still struggling to breathe. Because even though my people were the ones to build this country from the ground up, our country is the first one to tear us down and crush us down to dust, and that dust is making it hard for me to breathe. Ever since I can remember, beauty has always been straight hair, thin, white, white, and more white. 6-year-old me looking at Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Snow White, trying to hold back my tears, and trying to breathe with all my might, because I thought I had to be corrected, that I needed to be made right. At 6 years old, I couldn't breathe. My mother told me a black woman's hair was a jewel. It's wonderful, gorgeous, and can be used as a powerful tool. But when my white friends would skip me in the traditional braiding each other's hair, I would run my hands through my coarse hair and just not care. Not care about my Angela Davis afro or my Queen of Sheba braids down my back. I thought I wanted to straighten my hair. Screw being black. Society was tricking me, making me think my hair was weighing me down, telling me, stop breathing, don't breathe. And then sitting in class listening to slavery and segregation, because no one likes to tell us we were kings and queens before then. My teacher expecting me to know everything and nothing all at the same time. I can't think, I can't be heard, I can't breathe. Not only am I black, too dark to be seen, but dark enough to seem suspicious. Just because I can't be seen in the light doesn't mean I'm the symbol of evil or I'm the one that caused the fight. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Drink it, and maybe then I can take my first breath. Maybe then I can finally move. Finally, I try to catch my breath, make a peep or even just a sound, but y'all want to act like I just beat you senselessly, threw you in some river to watch you drown, when that's exactly what you did to me, did to us. Because when you chain up human beings like animals, ship them like cargo and strip them down naked, who wouldn't make a fuss? They were forced to decide that death was better than bondage. They couldn't breathe, and neither can I. My ancestors didn't fight so hard and so long so that we can choose not to kneel, because our story isn't told in our country's song. Speaking of kneeling, speaking of fighting, speaking of breathing, speaking of dying. I don't want a knee on my neck. I don't want a gun held to my back. I don't want to be hunted down like a deer. I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to be a hashtag. I don't want to be a trend, because all trends end. Mr. Floyd, Mrs. Taylor, Mr. Arbery, your lives will be remembered forever. The tears will never stop being shed over your deaths. You have brought everyone together. For better or for worse, we're starting to make some noise, a lot of noise. Maybe justice will be served. Maybe all lives will actually matter. And maybe, just maybe, I can finally start to breathe.
July, we would love for you to perform that piece. I mean, it's going to be virtual, so you can record it, because that, did you document that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So all of you, so we are going to take a group photo. I do want to say thank you all for coming out and for staying for this presentation. To our commissioners, War in Maryland, the National Association of Storytellers.
David's following me.
Okay, exactly. We have Miss Cheryl McLeod, who gave a libation. Dr. Tamara E. Wilson, Chair of the Commission. Carl Snowden, Robert James, Margaret Davis, Maya Davis.
Your hair throws me off, Maya.
LaRon Herbert, Administrative Manager of the museum and Special Assistant to the Commission. Ellie Thompson, the Mayor. She's co-mayor, but I say Mayor. Of Cheverly, Casey Union. Yes. Margaret Davis, Tony Spencer. So thank you all. Alex Haley, generationally connected to the city of Annapolis. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming.